Welcome to the Sunday service for the Unitarian Universalist Church of Pensacola. I'm Reverend Syltie, and it is my privilege to serve this congregation as minister, a congregation whose mission is to celebrate diversity, strive for justice, and inspire love. When we gather, we typically reflect an area along the Florida Panhandle and the Alabama Gulf Coast. However, in today's world, we're delighted to be able to welcome you from wherever you are. If you would like to learn more about our congregation or about Unitarian Universalism, I invite you to reach out to me. I would be more than happy to talk with you. Again, welcome to our Sunday service.
The creative act, whatever its form, is always the art of becoming. The work itself is an evolution, and sometimes a revolution, a making of that which never was, a leap from imagination to reality. Today we focus on the art form of writing. Various members of UUCP will share samples of original work we have conjured and shaped, and sometimes endlessly reshaped, into a reality that never was. You will hear thoughtful, touching poems, lighthearted recollections, and a longer excerpt from a mythic fable that will become a storybook for all ages. I'm Dolly Berthelot, a lifelong writer and writing teacher, and a UUCP member since 1984. Other presenters are UUCP members Carol Hemmye, Pam Levitt, Rob Pallme, Charlotte Crane, Margaret McClarin, and Laura Keith King.
Spirit says Spirit says shout, Spirit says shout. You got to do when the Spirit says do. You got to do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you got to do, Lord. You got to do when the Spirit says do. 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 Spirit says do.
In the spirit of community, we light candles to share the significant milestones and transitions in our personal lives. The candles reflect our many joys and sorrows, whether or not we choose to share them out loud. As always, there are joys and sorrows that remain in our hearts yet unspoken, and one of our candles always reflects those.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
This poem was written when I was looking for a new house. I thought about it, and in the 40 years I've lived in Pensacola, I have moved 5 times. And each time, well, you'll see. Memories. Each new door, each new hallway reminds me of past doors in past houses. Every time I move, I take my history into my future, for I carry memories. Windows show other views, doors open to new sights, hallways lead to different destinations, but all are connected within. I am here only because I used to be there, and today will become my yesterday. Past and future, present and also absent, I gather my memories like so many flowers from my garden. I carry them in my heart. I hold them close as I walk through new doors, for they are part of who I have become. A little background on this poem. When I was 14, my family moved to Puerto Rico. My father took a job at the University of Puerto Rico. And if you remember being 14 or being a teenager, you remember that it's a crazy, topsy-turvy time. Borinquen, which is part of the title, is the Puerto Rican name for the island, based on the Borinquen Indians, who were the original inhabitants. Starstruck in Borinquen. I was 14, and the Southern Cross overhead was my guardian, ally, and only friend. I knew no others in the dark, bright sky on that faraway island, floating between heaven and sea. Orion pranced away far over the horizon, to my north, out of sight, if not memory. Ursa Major flirted with me along the palm-shaded beaches. The moon hung low, a lonely pearl, between my life and me. This sky, this island, this age were a hopeless jumble of longings. The Milky Way was a sea of tears, like me. Unnamed yearnings wrung my heart dry. I could not know the constellations that lay on my own far horizon.
Ah, those ants. The ant hills are piling up in the driveway again. Soft, round mounds, each with a hole down the middle. lined up along every crack or seam in the cement, like architectural addendums or dull dogs strewing the roadscape. The anthill citizens scurry all day about their business, gathering crumbs, sharing their loads. Servants to the queen, they hasten along their trailways, sometimes distracted, diverting to check out a toe poking through a sandal or a sandwich untended. But always it's understood, some would-be emperor ants turn mounds into towers, into pyramids and skyscrapers and rows of low-rent housing. It's then I grab my insect spray, armed to mount a defensive route. But I stop, mindful of what I've sometimes been told. Ants, too, have a job to do. I lie back, watching a cute little fellow, admiring his diligence, forgetting to track his teammates. Ouch!
Truth. I'm Rob Pallme, writer of this poem. These verses were inspired by the 1841 Roxbury sermon by Theodore Parker. Truth. Truth is in the somewhere we do not know its name, but know it never will be found by those who quest for fame. Truth is in the somewhere, sometimes to be found, but sharing it with others is neither safe nor sound. Truth is in the somewhere, where we can seek around, saying we have gone in search and pretending it is found. Truth is in the somewhere, like a mighty flooding tide, being very obvious, an effective way to hide. Truth is in the somewhere, we take it as a loan, professing that we own it in a most convincing tone. Truth is in the somewhere, it is not sought by all, whose eminently better minds need not heed its call. Truth is in the sometime, somewhere, and hard for us to find, while the very search for it challenges the mind. Truth is in the somewhere, but to our lasting sorrow, what may be shining truth today is heresy tomorrow.
The Laundry Continuum, a poem written when my children were young. Now dump the dirt out of the cuff. This load is surely full enough. The dirty clothes parades emergent, and soon we'll need some more detergent. For blacks and whites, it's segregation. We must avoid miscegenation. Integration's right in school, but in the washer's not the rule. A little pre-soak might be needed. My 3-year-old's nose on Thursday bleeded. Here goes the rumble of the washer as clothing sloshes never faster. Back and forth they jerk in circles, shirts and blue jeans drenched with bubbles. The cycle timer switches on, and just like life, things move along. Eventually, this stage goes by. Wet, squeezed fabrics now get dry. Soft and fluffy, tangled, warm socks and underwear march on from the store shelf to the car, into a drawer, the road's not far. The next leg of the journey, though, around and round in circles goes. Basket to washer, to dryer, and then fold them and back in the washer again. Some might bemoan the daily chore, but this life gives me so much more. My husband and children, I view them fondly. Another day, another laundry.
Hi, I'm Pam Levitt, and today I'm going to be reading 2 poems. The first poem, Captured, is part of a series of poems that I am working on or have written that talks about the process of writing and whether it's adequate to capture the truth of living. So without further ado, here's Captured. Captured. Words to describe. I watch them float in bold emptiness on a white screen until I close my eyes and all blends into black. There lies the softness of a hand you've slipped yours into with just the right amount of pressure applied, or the feel of wrapping your warm towel around your shivering frame, or the perfect texture of a silken breeze and the sinking into a pillow, the feel of a comforting chest. I try to grab them from the air and squeeze them too tightly. My fists open the crackling, crumbled text to find blurs, smudges of dried up ink. I sit like a predator, waiting to prey, instead of listening to the sound of leaves rustling, of birdsong becoming still. I fumble for a garish flashlight that breaks the ink, like eyes squinting after leaving a dark room. Too much movement ruptures the stillness. The need for spoken truths smothers the ones hovering somewhere in the depths. Thank you. Hi, I'm Pam Levitt, and this is my second poem today. It's called Flow. Flow. Rain pounds the pavement aggressively. I watch it as it penetrates and pools. The harsh sound does not lull, but slaps down and overflows the gutters. It feels too hard to walk in, too voluminous and heavy. I fear being pummeled and sodden, weighed down by the oversaturated clothing riding on my back. How can I move through this weather? Then I watch the earth perform a miracle, absorbing, letting the water sink into its marrow, enter its bloodstream. It receives every drop over time. I imagine what will grow from this torrent, what will rise taller after the barrage, what will feel fuller and less parched, what will be nourished. Lightning flashes and a sonic boom signals that damage has been done somewhere. Something lit on fire, perhaps charred and searing. I pray for it all to cease. But I know my body contains the rain, pulses with the lightning, vulnerable and powerful, how these elements coexist, how we contain a storm within, yet look without. I watch the rain streak across the mirrored glass, reflecting some power I must reside in. So I open the door and step out to root myself, waiting for transformation. Have a good day. Thank you.
Our congregation is supported solely by the generosity of members and friends who willingly support its mission and our desire to be a welcoming and supportive community for all people who aspire to uphold the principles that we affirm. We have come to the time in our service when we share with you the information for how to text and give or write a check to the church. As always, we thank you for everything you do to support us and our mission.
Hello, I'm Dolly Berthelot. I'm going to read to you now from my storybook named Warwall, a mythic fable of hope. This story is multi-generational for all ages. It is an allegory, so people can read it and hear it through different prisms, thinking in terms of personal relationships, community relationships, international relationships. It is certainly a story of conflict and a story of hope. In fact, the main character at the beginning is a girl named Hope, who is 12 years old and who loves gardening with a passion. It soon shifts to two much more ominous figures, and the bulk of the story does deal with a darker war in the center of the story. But let me tell you that this will only be part of the first third of what I hope will become a published book if I can ever find the right illustrators that will be able to handle the considerable challenge of these very different light and dark imagery in the book, starting with the light. Warwall. Part of the joy for Hope is sharing her gifts, watching people light up when she gives them a flower. Who doesn't welcome flowers? And she just loves digging in that rich, dark dirt, even likes the smell of it. She enjoys running the grains through her fingers and then molding them into, like sculptures, into perfect mounds. She thinks of the magical substance as food for her babies. Flowers have long been Hope's dolls. Smack in the middle of the empty field, which she discovers, I should have said that, which she has discovered an empty field that's never been in their little village, or she's never noticed it before, and this field will be very much the center of the book. Smack in the middle of this empty field, from boundary to boundary, she plants a perfect straight double row and waters thoroughly. She stands with hands on hips, admiring what she envisions will come. Before heading home, Hope offers a silent wish or prayer that the garden may thrive in her absence. The girl and her mother will leave tomorrow on a 2-week road trip, and she must rely on the area's frequent spring showers to keep her seeds properly watered for a while. She has faith. Hope doesn't know that trouble is brewing. It will impact her garden, her dreams. It will change many lives. It will change the entire community. At dawn, under every darkening gray skies, 2 ominous, towering figures appear on the property, each coming from opposite sides of the field. They're identically dressed in long, simple, hooded gowns, gloves, and shoes hidden under flowing fabric, but they contrast sharply in hue, one pure black from head to toe, the other stark white. Resembling tall, lean Giacometti sculptures, the ramrod-straight strangers look like twins in stature and clothing, but their features are unclear, obscured. Even the genders, age, and race or ethnicity aren't obvious. None of that matters. They could be anybody. They could even be you. Each stands at opposite edges of the field, then begins to walk slowly, stiffly toward each other, one simultaneous step at a time, until they meet in the middle. They stand tense, a few feet apart, facing each other. Anyone watching could feel their mutual glares of hostility, even though their faces are hidden, and they may never even have met. Then they spin around and march away in opposite directions, looking for something. They don't speak, but seem to steal occasional glances as they pretend to ignore each other. Each finds and examines the piles of bricks left in opposite corners by some excellent ancient demolitions. The creatures in black find white bricks. The creature in white finds black bricks. All the bricks are otherwise identical. Pure potential. Potential which can be used for good or for evil. Satisfied, they both return to the center of the field, exactly where Hope had planted her garden. They stop, closer together now, and each glare at each other. They see no real person, only a fearsome foe. Clearly, they are enemies, arch-enemies, mortal enemies. And this is to be their war zone. On that, they mutely agree. Hope exudes life. The arch-enemies reek of death. In unison, each enemy trudges over to a pile and picks up 2 bricks. The birds stop chirping, as if holding their breath. Will the arch-enemies smash each other? Neither is quite ready for such violence yet, but each feels compelled to do something to signal the enmity. Neither wants to be the wimp who backs down. Each marches in slow motion to the center line, a brick in each slightly swinging hand. White bricks on black garb, black on white, mirror images in a sad, hateful dance of synchronicity. Each places bricks on the line butting against the other's brick. Each dusts off hands loud claps in the silence, sneers, and walks back to the pile for more. And so it goes for hours, then days, silent, somber days. Skies are now charcoal, becoming ever darker and more turbulent. A few passers-by gather to watch. Some whisper among themselves, "Who are these strange creatures anyway? What is this all about?" Someone suggests a possible property dispute. Someone else checks county records. Somehow this mystery plot is not even on the books. It seems to have come from nowhere and it belongs to no one. But these 2 strangers have claimed it now for their bizarre duel. The crowd mutters and guesses, but no one really knows what's happening or why. For 2 weeks, the ritual continues. A line of white bricks laid upon white bricks adjoins a line of black bricks laid upon black bricks. More and more people gather to watch. Men, women, and even children of all ages, backgrounds, and types. A few join in, helping one enemy or the other stack bricks in a hard, rigid line. By now, it is obvious that a wall is going up. A double wall, actually, being built by both sides.
Birds of the Faith. My observations while bird watching in my backyard. I have assigned a religious affiliation according to the bird's habits and so forth. Cardinal, Catholic, duh. Dove, Quaker, duh. Mockingbird, Pentecostal, loves to sing and knows all the songs. Brown thrasher, Methodist, likes to get sprinkled in the bird bath. Blue jay, brash and pushy, first ones to the feeding station. Bluebird, Episcopal, this is our home, no other need apply. Jenny Wren, Unitarian, tries several homes before finding the perfect one. Woodpecker, Jehovah Witness, always knocking, knocking, knocking. Titmouse, LSD, meek and timid and picky about food. Toady, probably Presbyterian, low-key, seldom seen or heard. Chickadee, Jewish, check out the little black caps. Hummingbird, not affiliated, but can be seen flitting about any church with a flower communion service. I am so excited. My granddaughter Heidi is getting married. It will be a big Catholic wedding at Little Flower Church. I must shop for the perfect grandmother of the bride outfit. My sister Alice and I head out to Eastern Shore Dillard's to find our outfits. I find a beautiful pink silk suit and manage to stuff myself into it. Alice has hers too, and also had a bit of trouble with the size. Marg, she says, my girls have these girdle things called Spanx that really hides the fat. Let's go over to lingerie and check them out. So we wander over and buy ourselves a Spanx. Fast forward to the wedding day. Trying to get into the Spanx was like wrestling a bull alligator, but I finally squeezed myself into it and donned my pink silk suit. Wow, I thought, this thing really does hide the fat. Where did all that fat go? I looked a lot slimmer. I sat on the side of my bed to pull on my thigh-high pantyhose, and I found the fat. My knees were purple and looked like 2 eggplants on steroids. Off goes the suit, and I peeled myself out of the dreaded Spanx, rearranged my flab, and put on my old lady undies, and my bulgy self is off to the wedding. Alice and I are ushered in and sit together. Are you wearing your Spanx? I whispered. Hell no, she replied. That thing cut off my circulation. My knees turned blue. We were laughing our fool heads off and high-fiving, and I heard one of our daughters seated behind us say, don't ever sit with them. I composed myself just in time to hear Father Casserly tell the bridal couple, if you're going into a marriage, you need to be committed. Before I could stop myself, I blurted out, you sure got that right, Padre. Amazingly, I was allowed to attend the reception. Heidi was a beautiful bride.
With each creative act, creators themselves become something different than they were, something more than who they were before. With each creative act, creators move inexorably toward becoming their most complete and authentic selves. Whatever your age, background, or circumstances, may you never cease reaching for your fullest creative potential. Never cease becoming ever more fully yourself.
At the start of any given day, there is mystery available. There is a game waiting for an open heart to say yes. Here I am, I'll play. And if we're smart, we'll listen to the way, and all the misery that held us down, we'll let it fade. Let it be outshined by a simple spark of a life that's waiting to be made. It's waiting to be made. What will you make of this day? What will you keep? What will you change? What will you see? What will you believe? What will you make of your dreams? Will you keep sleeping, or will you awaken and decide what you will make? At the start of any given day, there is history and poetry. There is a play, but you're not in the audience. You are the star. So get out there and say what you will make. What will you make of this day? What will you keep? What will you change? What will you see? What will you believe? What will you make of your dreams? Will you keep sleeping, or will you awaken and decide just what you will make of this day? What will you keep? What will you change? What will you see? And what will you believe? What will you make of your dreams? Will you keep sleeping, or will you awaken and decide what you will make?